A cruise missile costs $2.5 million. This drone costs $35,000, and yet they can hit with nearly the same precision because the US quietly took a simple Iranian design and rebuilt it into something far more dangerous. But here's where it gets strange. The original Iranian Shahed 136 wasn't supposed to be smart. It wasn't even supposed to be precise. It was designed to be cheap, disposable, and overwhelming. A flying bomb sent in swarms to saturate air defenses until something breaks. Standard logic says quantity beats quality. But the data reveals a paradox. What if you could have both? When US engineers got their hands on one of these drones, they didn't just study it. They copied the airframe almost exactly. Same 3.5-meter delta wing, same basic structure. But inside, completely different machine. And this is where most people misunderstand what happened. On the outside, the American Lucas drone looks like a twin. On the inside, it's operating on a completely different level of intelligence. But that raises a question. What exactly did they change? At first glance, it looks like a simple upgrade. Better GPS. It's not. The Shahed relies on basic satellite navigation, vulnerable to jamming, spoofing, disruption. The Lucas taps into encrypted military-grade M.A.X.I GPS, designed to survive electronic warfare. That should have solved the problem. It didn't. Because in a real battlefield, GPS doesn't just get weak, it disappears. So what happens when a drone suddenly goes blind? The answer is unsettling. Instead of relying on signals from space, the Lucas drone simply looks down. The moment GPS drops, an onboard system takes over. Digital scene matching area correlation. In simple terms, the drone starts seeing. It scans the ground, ridges, roads, rivers, shadows. Then it compares those images to a preloaded three-dimensional map stored inside its memory. But here's the part that changes everything. It doesn't just see the terrain, it understands it. The onboard system converts real-time images into a digital model, like building a wireframe of the Earth below. Then it overlays that against its stored maps, searching for a match at high speed. And when it finds one, it instantly knows its exact position, without GPS. But here's where it gets even more precise. If crosswinds push the drone off course by even a few hundred feet, it corrects itself in real time. Micro-adjustments, continuous recalculation, constant alignment. Standard logic says jamming should stop it, but the data reveals the opposite. Jamming just forces it to switch to something more resilient. And now the drone isn't just navigating, it's hunting. That's the real shift. The Shahed is a blunt weapon, pre-programmed, rigid, predictable. The Lucas, it can change targets mid-flight. Think about that for a second. A drone already in the air, suddenly redirected to hit something else entirely. But what happens when it finally reaches the target? The final seconds are brutally efficient. Both drones dive at nearly 80 degrees. Reaction time drops to almost zero, then impact. Inside the warhead, a simple mechanism takes over, a point-detonating fuse. A firing pin slams forward, the detonator ignites, and in a fraction of a second, everything changes. The explosion isn't just force, it's physics unleashed. A shockwave crushes structures. Fragments tear outward at extreme speed. Electronics fail instantly under the pressure. But here's the twist. What if the target isn't a building? Against armored vehicles, the drone uses a different approach. A shaped charge turns the explosion into a focused stream of molten metal, driving straight through armor like a cutting torch. That should require expensive missiles. It doesn't. This capability now exists in a platform that costs less than a car. So why not just make it bigger? Longer range? Because the US made a trade. The Iranian Shahed can travel 2,000 to 2,500 kilometers using a larger engine and heavy fuel load. The Lucas cuts that range down to about 800 kilometers. That sounds like a downgrade. It isn't. The US traded distance for control, adaptability, and precision. And this is where the strategy shifts from weapons to systems. Instead of launching from far away and hoping it hits, these drones operate closer to the battlefield, where targets move, hide, and fight back. And here's the key question. What happens when dozens of these are launched at once? Now we're back to where Iran started. Swarms, multiple drones, low altitude, hard to detect, each one cheap enough to lose, but smart enough to matter. Air defenses face a dilemma. Spend expensive missiles to shoot them down, or risk letting even one get through. That should be an easy choice. It isn't, because cost becomes the real weapon. And this is where things escalate. The original Shahed already blurred the line between missile and drone. The American version pushes it further, turning a low-cost platform into a precision-guided, adaptable strike system. But here's the unresolved problem. If cheap drones can now match high-end missiles in key roles, what happens to the entire economics of modern warfare? Because this isn't just about one drone anymore. It's about a future where $35,000 can do what used to cost millions, and where the side that adapts fastest doesn't just win battles, it rewrites the rules of war.